Hey, T.Y. now come on up here, man. This is what happened when white people make great black music with black music.
I don't take money from any politicians or political party. So if you see me stand next to someone, it's because I really believe.
You got some attention recently for being somewhat critical of President Biden, saying you weren't ready to endorse him yet. What's your holdup there?
But if you are concerned with the federal election, you don't know who your city council or your wardsman is, you don't know who your mayor is, and you don't have a good list of state representatives or governor.
And she hates me for the most ridiculous reason. God bless her soul. She hates me just because I'm not a Democrat.
The commentator.
So you don't support him, you like his policy.
Well, I support
some specific ones he named.
Beyond it, he's the governor of my state, so I have to be involved with him.
I'm mad as hell.
Let's take a moment to appreciate who Killer Mike is, because apparently some people on The View forgot. He's not just some rapper. He's a cultural powerhouse. Starting as one half of Run the Jewels, Mike carved out his own space in hip-hop, blending artistry with activism in a way few have before. His ability to speak to everyone, fans, politicians, and everyday people, sets him apart. He's a Grammy-winning artist who also fights for real change, advocating for policies that uplift communities, particularly Black Americans. While many artists stuck to just making music, Mike went further. He became a voice for the voiceless, pushing for local reforms and giving back to the very neighborhoods that shaped him.
We don't want to see targets burning. We want to see the system that sets up for systemic racism burnt to the ground.
So when a guy of his caliber walks into The View, you'd expect him to get the royal treatment, right? Well, he got the opposite. You'd think the hosts of The View would be celebrating a major artist like Killer Mike, right? Wrong. Instead of applause, he got a political interrogation and some eyebrow-raising questions that felt more like thinly veiled jabs than genuine interest. Mike didn't even flinch. He's dealt with this kind of nonsense before, and it showed. If you think you've seen an awkward interview, this one's on another level. Now, let's set the scene. Killer Mike just had one of the biggest nights of his career. 3 Grammy wins in one night, Best Rap Album, Best Rap Performance, and Best Rap Song for his critically acclaimed album, Michael. That's a mic drop moment in the music industry right there. Naturally, when he was invited onto The View, most people would expect the conversation to kick off with congratulations, right? Or some lighthearted chatter about his creative process, or what it felt like to stand on that stage and soak in the applause. Nope. Instead, things took a weird turn. It was only 5 days after his monumental career milestone, but Sunny Hostin decided to focus on a backstage incident instead of celebrating his achievements. Yes, rather than highlight his success, she zeroed in on a moment that most people probably wouldn't have even remembered. A backstage arrest after a misunderstanding with security. The way it was framed, less of a question and more of a reminder to the audience. Oh, you think this guy's great? Well, did you hear about this? But here's the thing. Mike didn't take the bait. He turned what could have been an awkward moment into a masterclass in composure. All of my heroes have been in handcuffs, he quipped, turning the narrative on its head and refusing to let one incident overshadow his success. Classy, cool, and completely unbothered. Meanwhile, the awkward energy in the room? You could practically cut it with a knife. If you thought the conversation might recover after that awkward start, think again. The View panel wasn't done yet. Enter Alyssa Farah, who decided it was time to dive into politics. Because, you know, nothing spices up a casual chat about music like trying to corner your guest about presidential endorsements. Her question?
You got some attention recently for being somewhat critical of President Biden, saying you weren't ready to endorse him yet. What's your holdup there?
Why hasn't Mike endorsed Joe Biden yet? Now, imagine being a Grammy-winning artist, fresh off the high of a career-defining night, and suddenly being grilled like you're on a political talk show. Subtlety clearly wasn't the game plan that day. But Mike, being the seasoned pro he is, handled it with his trademark pragmatism. His response? He reminded everyone to stop obsessing over federal elections like it's a reality TV show and focus on something that actually matters: local politics. He pointed out that most people can't name their city council members or even their governor, yet they're quick to argue over who's sitting in the Oval Office. Ouch. And then came the real uppercut. He praised Georgia's Republican governor, Brian Kemp, for expanding programs like the Hope Scholarship, which provides free college and trade school opportunities for kids in Georgia. He didn't care about party lines, he cared about results. Of course, this was met with some visible discomfort from the panel. Praising a Republican on national TV? That's not exactly the usual script for The View. You could almost hear the wheels spinning as they tried to figure out how to steer the conversation back into their comfort zone. At this point, you'd think the panel might let it go and switch gears to something lighter. Maybe ask Mike about his creative process or his inspirations. Nope. Sunny Hostin decided to push further, this time questioning his political alliances and trying to paint him as inconsistent. Her approach? A not-so-subtle jab about his relationship with both sides of the aisle. She implied that by working with leaders like Brian Kemp, Mike somehow betrayed his roots or picked the wrong side. Subtle, right? But here's where Killer Mike showed why he's such a force. Instead of getting defensive, he calmly set the record straight. He pointed out that while he has worked with Kemp on specific issues, he's also helped elect multiple Democratic mayors and state representatives. His focus isn't on playing for a team, it's on getting results. If someone's in the king's seat, I'm not going to refuse dinner with the king if it helps my people, he said. It was a mic drop moment, an unapologetic reminder that his loyalty lies with his community, not political parties. Sunny's attempt to box him into a corner, completely dismantled. And let's be honest, the irony here was hard to ignore. A panel that regularly preaches about bipartisanship and working together seemed awfully uncomfortable when someone actually practiced what they preached. By now, it was clear the panel was scrambling. Every attempt to pin Killer Mike down or ruffle his feathers had failed spectacularly. So what's their next move? Double down, of course. They threw out more jabs laced with the kind of thinly veiled judgment that only The View can deliver. But Mike wasn't having it. When Sunny tried to suggest he was inconsistent or even disloyal to his own causes, he calmly fired back with facts. "Don't lie on me," he said bluntly. "I've supported Abrams, I've supported Democrats, and I've helped get multiple Democratic leaders elected." Then came the twist that nobody saw coming. Mike didn't just defend his record, he used the moment to highlight a deeper point about leadership. "I'm not here to play politics, I'm here to get things done for my community." He explained that his cooperation with leaders on both sides isn't about aligning with their ideologies, but results. Whether pushing for better education opportunities or supporting trade programs, he focuses on real, tangible progress. By the end of the interview, one thing was crystal clear. Killer Mike doesn't play by anyone's rules but his own. While the panel of The View seemed determined to pigeonhole him into a narrative of their choosing, Mike refused to bite. Instead, he stayed calm, factual, and laser-focused on what actually matters: results and community. What made this exchange so remarkable wasn't just his composure under fire, it was the way he subtly exposed the flaws in their approach. While they pushed for sound bites and partisan talking points, he delivered wisdom about unity, local impact, and the power of collaboration. And let's not ignore the humor in all this. Here's a man fresh off 3 Grammy wins, trying to talk about art, community, and progress, while the hosts of The View were busy trying to shoehorn him into their pre-written script. It was almost like watching someone calmly navigate a conversation with a group that wasn't even listening to their own talking points. Ultimately, Mike walked away with his dignity intact, and his priorities crystal clear. Meanwhile, the panel? Let's just say it wasn't their finest hour.